Hey guys, welcome back to Kendi Beauty. So today we're going to be taking a look, swatching, testing out, doing all the good things with this new Nars holiday collection. I have been an avid fan of Nars for years now, so I'm always excited when they come out with new releases. Some are better than others, some are more exciting than others, but one thing that typically you can always count on is quality seems to remain consistent with the Nars brand in general. So anyways, if you guys have seen these reviews already, you know I really get right into it. We swatch all the cheeks, we do the eyes. And if you are new here, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, tap that bell, don't be shy, leave a comment down below, say hi, let me know what your thoughts are. And let's get right into this new Nars holiday collection. Okay, so we're gonna start out first with the eyeshadow palette. This is the Nars Endless Nights holiday palette. It has a 12-month shelf life. Let's see. And it is made in Canada. 7 grams times 9. Don't mind the fingerprints. And I have to be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of the packaging this year. I just feel like it would have been really cool if it was like Natasha Denona when she did those love palettes and like the glitters and stuff. I mean, it is pretty actually, I guess. It is pretty, but I don't know. I just felt like they could do a little bit more. But now that I think about it, I think NARS packaging is always kind of basic, more makeup artisty vibe anyway as well. And as far as the palette, kind of is looking to me like every other NARS eyeshadow palette. So I was kind of, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be beautiful, but I feel like I've seen all of these shades already. We're going to do a look though, and we'll see, just make sure quality wise it's the typical NARS quality. Okay. And the second row. So the first and second row are all shimmers, which is really nice. This is kind of like, I don't know, it's a very shimmery, satiny. I wouldn't say it's matte, but it's definitely like not as glittery as some of the other shimmers. It's got more of a matte base to it. And now we've got 3 completely matte shades. Do that one there, this one up here. I mean, the formula actually does feel really nice, so maybe. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with this matte shade first. Yeah, I can't remember now. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my other NARS videos, which I will also link if you guys are NARS fans. I tend to do most of the reviews for their stuff. This is definitely blending. This is deeper than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be more pinkish, but it's looking a little bit deeper than I had thought it was gonna be. But it's blending out like a typical NARS matte, really pretty. And I'm just going underneath with that. Not gonna do anything really crazy for the eyes because we do have the All That Glitters face palette. I think that's what I'm like definitely most excited about in this collection. All right, I am gonna go in now though with this sort of satiny, foily shade. I do want to test this out and sort of apply it as a matte and see if that'll work. Okay, I definitely think this is more of a foil. I don't know, it's definitely a hybrid shade. I mean, you could use it sort of like a matte, I guess. You just have to go in very lightly. Like, I definitely went in way too much. That's all right. We can fix that. Okay, so that got a little bit out of hand, but I tried to blend it out and it just wasn't working. So now I'm kind of debating on which shimmer shade to go in with. There's this one, this one. There's this goldish one. I think I'm gonna go in with this one, at least on the inner corner. I do really love Nars's shimmer formula. Like, I just think that that's so pretty. I feel like a lot of palettes this year, though, this holiday season, have that kind of like glistening, like glassy sort of shimmer that Nars has been doing for years, you know? So I do feel like I need something in between. So I think I'm gonna go in with this brown shimmer shade. And just sort of blend that in. Okay, so we are all set with the eyes, and I just threw some lashes. Now I'm going into the All the Glitters cheek palette. Mine is like, came a little crushed, which I ordered this right from Nars. And for some reason I thought it was the All the Glitters collection, but I think they're just calling it the holiday collection. Anyway, here she is, 12-month shelf life. Okay, so the cheek palette is made in Italy. I don't know, again, I'm gonna have to go back and look at my other Nars reviews because I don't know, mascara on the fingers. I don't know if they're always typically made in Canada, the eyeshadow palettes, or if they're typically made in Italy. I thought Italy, but I could be wrong. If you know, let me know down in the comments below. And look at how beautiful this is, you guys. Especially the shade I am super excited about. Okay, going in for some swatches now. We have the top 3 shades. And now the bottom. This one definitely feels more like a satiny matte, this middle one. And it appears that it is also more of a matte shade. Okay, and there are those 3 shades. The more bronzier color that could also, I feel like, be used as a bronzer is also a little bit more on the matte side as well. So I think what I'm gonna do is use that as a bronzer instead of a blush. Okay, so first I'm gonna go in with the bronze shade with this Anastasia beauty brush. And I am gonna try to use this as a bronzer, like I mentioned. Okay, so there is that shade, and actually I really do feel like it is more intended to be a blush, but I do feel like it kind of could be like a really nice sort of sun-kissed bronzer, depending on your skin tone. It's gonna go in on this side now. And just a little bit like here. Now I think I'm gonna go in with this peachy sort of, I guess just like peachy corally shade. It's more peach. And I'm just going above. I wanna try to get this really, can barely see it. On my skin tone, this isn't really showing up. I mean, it is, but it's like really just blending so nicely into the skin. So I feel like if you're somebody that wants like a little bit of something, but like not crazy, like I'm even gonna use it to blend out my shadow right now, like a little bit of something, but not like crazy, then this would be a really pretty shade, just that natural sort of no blush blush sort of a shade. Really pretty. I'm gonna go over top of it with this right here. And this is Captain Fear. So I think I'm gonna go in with a really light hand. Oh, that's so pretty though. Those two combined are really something special. I was thinking this orangey shade was going to be more like the Hourglass palette, the holiday one shade. I think it was, which palette was that in? From last year's. But this is a lot smoother, a lot more just like natural looking. Where that one was like really rich and deep. I mean, it was beautiful, but this is definitely more just like really just natural and pretty. Because on the swatch, like she looks, you know, pretty pigmented, but with a brush, it just really blends out really nicely. And then that over top of this one is just perfection. Okay, so now on this side, I'm really excited to test this shade out because it does like, it's got like a little bit something special to it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm excited. So I'm gonna go in with that. It's kind of almost like a highlight shade, but it's not. Again, just a really pretty like natural sort of blush lighter, like combination between like a blush and like a highlighter shade, I would say. But again, I think that depends on the skin tone. It might just be a luminous or radiant blush for somebody that has lighter skin. But for me, because it's such a pale pink, it's definitely giving more sort of highlight vibes on my face. But it's also just really pretty. And I feel like once we add in this red shade, that it's gonna sort of become like a little bit more pink. So I'm gonna go in very light-handed with that. This shade now, the red shade. I'm starting sort of down at the bottom because this is, I'd have to say, this is definitely the most pigmented shade of them all in the palette, is this red shade. And it is quite, I mean, you could even use this as an eyeshadow. That's how bold it is. I think maybe what I'm gonna do now is I will go in with this gold highlight shade on this side, because this pink blush is really just doing its thing, doesn't even need a highlight. So I don't understand when Nars is going to get the memo. I have been wanting them, I feel like how many years now, in their face palettes do they always have these goldy shades of the highlight? And I do love a good gold highlight, but for some people, I just feel like that's going to be too deep of a shade. It's always like these golds. It's never like a beautiful, like sort of frosty champagne-y gold that would be suitable for a lot of skin tones. So I don't know. I wish one of these, ooh, it is pretty though. I guess on the skin it is more of a champagne, but on the swatch it looks more like a gold. I just want one of these years for them to do like a lighter highlight, you know, instead of the gold all the time. Switch it up a little. All right, you guys, so this is it. This is the final look with all of these shades. Overall, I think it is a beautiful palette, definitely Nars quality. If this color story speaks to you, I would go ahead and grab this, especially maybe on one of the sales coming up. There's going to be Black Friday sales, there's going to be all sorts of sales coming up. So if it speaks to you now, for somebody, here's my thing with this palette. I love the pink, and I love that they included this like shade. It wasn't too radiant that it could be used as a bronzer. So in my opinion, this palette is worth splurging on because you have, you know, 2 or 3 different blushes. You have a shade you could use as a bronzer. The only thing I feel like it is kind of lacking is just the highlight shade. I prefer a lighter highlight, but it is a beautiful highlight. But if you have a ton of other Nars palettes, I don't know that you would necessarily need this. I think the 2 standout shades for me, actually 3 standout shades for me, are the pink, this really pretty peachy shade, and then this shade. I haven't seen those in any other of their face palettes. Maybe a little similar, but not these exact shades. The gold I've seen, you know, I feel like I've even seen very similar to this red shade, but if I had to pick, I would definitely go with the face palette. I don't honestly think the eyeshadow palette is anything. It came out beautiful, but it's nothing you can achieve with other eyeshadow palettes. So if you're looking to save some money, I would say skip the eyeshadow palette. It's quite similar to a lot of other Nars eyeshadow palettes out there, and maybe just get the face palette instead. Those are my final thoughts. Of course, I need to hear your final thoughts down in the comments below. Are you planning on picking this up? You know, what do you think? Overall, Nars is always great quality. I think it just always looks so seamless on the skin. Again, it's just kind of whether the color stories speak to you. But I definitely think the face palette is a nice palette to have in anybody's collection. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.